Coming up on the next episode of the Celsius Pod.
Also, ruins Nani's character because her character is like, she has to be the adult. She has no one to rely on.
And she says, hey, my nephew is not available. Do you want to go to a museum with me? Just them two.
What? Sorry, that's a very strange thing.
She's just trying to be friendly, guys.
I think it was a good episode, but it was a really bad finale.
True.
This might have been the first episode where we didn't get interrupted in the beginning and we got a first try.
What do you
We
mean
did
we?
get it
You're the
first
one
try.
that interrupts it.
No, it was
No,
never
we got
me.
it first try.
Never
Aiden
me.
always like
We
messes it
got
up.
it first time.
It's
Whether it's
crazy.
60
We
and
got
Menlo
it first
Park.
time.
It's 60 where Uri is,
I
so
think
it's probably a
60
very
where we
similar
are
temperature.
too. I'm pretty sure it's 60 all over here.
It's
That is
60.
crazy.
Guys,
guys,
look, my
guys.
new camera arrived.
That can't be it.
That's my
I'm
new
really-
camera.
That's
Guys,
so
I'm-
tiny.
Yeah, it's for
That
ants.
couldn't have been $2,000.
That's
Nope.
8K, bro. 2K,
That was
8K,
$2,000 for that.
4K
I can't believe it.
lens.
Guys,
Wow.
I have a topic I want to bring up as a little film topic.
Yeah,
What is
I'm
it?
reading. So I'm reading a book right now.
That's not a movie.
Well, it's gonna be
Yeah.
related. I'm reading a
Oh,
book
okay.
right now. I'm reading a
It's
book
not
right
a
now.
book
It's
podcast, Uri. Stop
Beck.
reading.
Yeah, this
well,
isn't a
do,
book
We
talk.
do sometimes do book reviews.
We did one 2 years ago.
Yeah, we really don't. I don't know where you're pulling this from.
Anyway, but I'm reading a book. It's like a prequel book to a main series. And what's
Oh.
interesting, I'm having kind of a troubling time with flashbacks and books and like prequels as a concept in general, because like, you know what, a big issue in a lot of like sort of prequel episodes of TV or flashback stories or like prequel stories like that, they always try to connect so much of like the main characters together, and
Yeah.
to a
It
point where it
makes
gets
the
even-
world feel small.
Yeah, it makes the world feel so small, because the book right now I'm reading is Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the Hunger Games prequel book.
Of course, this fucking guy's reading Hunger Games.
Beck, are you really like outing me for reading a fucking
Surprised?
book?
I
Yeah,
am,
Beck-
because that's a
Beck
book for
is-
girls.
Reading a book?
Okay, man.
Now,
Dude.
true men like me watch My Little Pony 4 episodes
Alright,
this
dude.
week.
Anyway, but I'm just saying, because like they make.
Oh, I
like,
still have to catch up for My Little Pony.
I like, so far the book's been okay, but what I'm having an issue with, they're connecting like some of the characters way too much. Like he's like friends with Katniss's dad, and I feel like it's way
Oh.
too connected for Haymitch to be friends with Katniss's dad.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, that happens, and I was like thinking about it, and I'm like, yeah, that happens, but it's also like, it gives the characters a lot more like density.
Yeah, but
Over
they're
like the
just, like-
short time.
Yeah,
I
but
think-
it's also like, it's like in the prequel Star Wars movies where everything takes place on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Or like,
Where like 90% of Star Wars content before like Andor has been on Tatooine.
yeah. And
Yeah, so if
I'm
you have
just-
something that's like big and you have time, you definitely shouldn't be doing that. But like, if you definitely want to, like, for like a shorter like script or story, you want to have every character kind of have a relationship to the other.
Yeah, but I think especially since I watched like a TV show recently, as like they had a flashback episode, and I think flashback episodes of TV can be very, very lazy, because they're always kind of just used to fill up a spot in a season that needed that couldn't be filled up with the regular season runtime, and B, like sometimes they just make connections. Like this character didn't need to be. We didn't need to see all the characters know each other from the beginning, because then it makes seem like they've known each other for way too longer than the original show suggests. And I don't know, I feel like that's a bit lazy to connect all the characters. I like flashback episodes of TV when they don't try to connect all the characters, but they have like very singular new kind of stories that don't try to connect everyone together. Because that's what happens with most flashback episodes of TV, I find. Yeah, but that's just like
Yeah, but The Last of Us flashback was.
But The
gold.
Last of
That's
Us
how we
flashback
watched it this
was
week.
good. Yeah, I was
That was good.
going to say.
That was the
I
best
also-
episode of the season.
So I watched the finale and the 3 episodes I missed all in one sitting. So I watched 4 episodes of The Last of Us in one sitting,
Wow.
and I think now I guess let's just talk about The Last of Us. I guess because
Okay.
we can talk about that quickly.
We
I
had
feel
such
like
an amazing transition. We have to.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say each of the 3 people who watched it.
So
Effectively
I was
the
gonna
whole
say my main thing for the last episode is I think it was a good episode, but it was a really bad finale.
True.
That's fair.
It definitely felt like. I mean, it also felt kind of like that way in the game, where it just kind of ended prematurely on this like cliffhanger, and then you just had to wait like fucking 10 more hours for the story to actually continue.
Yeah, because it's a much longer game.
Yeah, but what I'm kind of confused about is people saying like the season was not good. I feel it would be the same people who didn't like the second game, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like you kind of get the same expectation. Like they weren't going to change the storyline all that much.
I think the changes
I
they
would-
did make were
didn't.
really good though.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of the changes they did. Only one I kind of agree with people on is I do feel like Ellie is less focused on the revenge in the show, which is like it kind of like they kind of like most of the time, like some scenes she's definitely more focused on revenge. Like we see in the final episode when she's like, "Oh, whale, we have to go to the whale because we know Abby's there and we don't even know if Tommy is there." And then I thought like
Yeah.
that definitely is like, oh, she's focused on revenge. But then in a lot of the scenes before that, she isn't as focused on the revenge. So it feels like they were trying to force it in some moments when really I feel like they should have stuck to it the entire way through.
That is a fair criticism, I would say, Nicola. However, I think because it isn't a TV show format, we kind of need to expand on story motivations when you have rather than you have a game where you are playing as
True.
Ellie,
Yeah.
where it can only be revenge. I think in order to bridge it to adapt to a TV audience, we have to be more complex with the ideas. Because I think it would have been tiring just to see Ellie just have a focus on revenge, but now with the Dina and the baby, it's a bit more like just something to protect a bit more. But I can see both sides of the argument.
True,
That
but if I
baby's
remember-
not gonna have a dad, bro.
I-
Bro got fucking shot in 2 seconds.
Well,
No,
she
because
said-
you gotta remember, she's
Ellie
the
said-
dad, bro.
Ellie said, "I'm dad."
Yeah,
you
I
know?
gotta say,
She
Last
said
of Us
that.
fans are stupid enough to be like, how is Ellie the father?
She's the butch lesbian.
Yeah, Last of Us fans are stupid enough to actually like Last of Us show fans are stupid enough to actually think that like Ellie is the biological father.
Yeah.
He's not.
But
No, she is not.
I think we can reflect overall on the whole season. I think it was overall weaker than season 1 because ultimately the game 2 is weaker than game 1.
Yeah, everybody kind of says
Yeah.
that.
But I would say it was still a pretty strong season of television itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Abby's
agree.
side, I know a lot less about because I only really watched Ellie's side of the game and I like.
I thought have
kinda
you not played
stopped.
the game? I thought you did play the game.
I've not played the game. I've only seen a like
Well,
Well,
playthrough.
see.
so this is how we're gonna kind of play it out. I think so. Season 2. This is how I think it's gonna go. Season 2 was Ellie, and then
Ellie. Season 3 is
Abby.
definitely gonna be completely Abby.
Is it gonna end on the same point?
Probably.
doubt.
I could definitely see that.
I
though.
think we get the theater fight.
I could see maybe like the mid-season finale being back to the point where we were.
Well, it
Um,
depends. Are we getting the season 4?
They said it's
I think
really
it said
likely
we're
it's
pretty
it's-
likely gonna get season 4. That's
Yeah.
why.
because that's gonna focus on California, like all the rattlers and
Yeah.
stuff, right? And
Yeah.
and then so it's like we follow the same 3 days for Abby, but let's not talk about the Abby season that's gonna come. But this season overall, it was good. Some strong moments. They did. I like their increasement in involvement of the scars. I like the scars. I thought they were a good addition to the season and the world of The Last of Us. I thought they were pretty good. I think they're only really hinted at in the games a little bit.
Yeah, I hope
But,
we get more of like the backstory behind like what they actually fight for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think people overhated on her, but I think but for the most part, Bella Ramsey, they did a fantastic job as Ellie. I would say like I really felt a lot of good like acting from her, especially when she killed Nora Ellie. I thought that was
Mm.
Yeah.
her highlight of the season. I would say the show felt a little lost footing after Joel died, and I would say
Yeah,
that it
I
was
could
kind of
see
rough.
that.
It was kind of rough to pick up, but then we got a little break back to Pedro and Joel in like the flashback episode, which was the best episode of
By
the
far,
season.
yeah. I think everybody can agree on that.
Yeah, and so I think that's why it actually lost half of its U.S. viewership. The Last of Us, and I have to say that's probably due to Joel's death.
Mm.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of that also happened for the game. I feel like a lot of people did stop playing the game after Joel died.
Yeah, but I would say the finale pretty strong. Like I think like pretty structured. I think it was just a bit rushed. It felt like a lot was happening in the
Yeah, they.
final episode. It could have been like
I feel
one
like
more
this could have
episode.
been an 8 episode
Yeah, okay.
season,
And
and then they could have
also,
split
what
the
was
finale
that
a bit
whole
more.
random scene of like her just randomly almost getting hanged and then not getting hanged and then
Yeah,
just going back like nothing happened?
I feel like that was kind of to show something about the scars. Like the scars aren't entirely good either,
Yeah, I
and there's
think
kind of
well,
a reason why. But we kind of already saw that with the scars hanging all the
yeah,
Western Liberation Front soldiers.
yeah. I
So
mean that is
like,
true, but I think we
I
need
don't
to more
really. I
feel
also kind of agree
personal
with Beck.
effect.
I feel like it's not that.
I think we need to feel
Yeah.
more personal effect because we know Ellie and we needed to see her in danger because she could lose her life. And ultimately, what The Last of Us shows is that, there's no really good guys or bad guys. They're just people who are just trying to do their own thing. And I think we got to see a range of morality where, because the thing is, like, Ellie was about to save the Scar earlier in the episode. And then it's showing how then she's almost killed by the Scars.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of showing like
Mm.
kind of the difference. It doesn't really matter. They're all just kind of like different people on different moral scales.
Yeah.
And so that's
And that
good.
kind of ties into the other character. What's not Tommy,
Jesse.
Jesse. Yeah.
Jesse, I loved him in this episode. Like, I think in the games you don't
Yeah.
get him as much, but in this episode you really explored his character more, and I found that fantastic. I found his like exploration of his character more depth, and like we just got to see his relationship with Ellie. What I found strange that Ellie was like pretty ungrateful, which I don't feel like that would be like Ellie from the games as much as ungrateful for
I-
Jesse.
I can't remember if she is in the game.
But besides the point, I thought just exploring his characters and like his thoughts, because like Jesse, he's a good guy and he's like brutal as Joel, but he wants to protect his community at the most. Where Ellie is a much more righteous, and we're definitely seeing how he's a good guy, where Ellie is kind of propagating more of the toxic aspects of Joel and his violence. And ultimately, he's a good guy that gets killed instantly. And I thought his death was pretty good, at least adapting it. I think, unfortunately, I don't think the Mel and Owen death scene really worked for me all that much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
kind
one
of
felt
went,
weak.
especially when it was just like she killed both of them with one bullet. I kind of laughed at that because throughout the entire episode, she was like running around shooting with one hand and missing everybody. And then when she finally meets like a named character, then she kills both of them with a single bullet.
Yeah, but also
And I just found that kind of funny.
in the game, it's much more brutal because she stabs
Stabs in
Mel
the
in,
neck,
like, the hip.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I thought that would be more brutal. However, I did like the addition of her asking to cut the baby out. That felt
That
like
one,
a
yeah,
good
that was
move.
good. That was
That was
That was a
pretty
good
good.
addition.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. It really kind of heightened the like she kind of wants to do it, but she doesn't know how because all she's saying is low transverse. And that was a good addition. But overall, the scene was weaker compared to the games. But I think we'll probably see the other side of the characters in the Abby season. So yeah. I think I like Isaac. Jeffrey
yeah,
Wright
Isaac
as
was-
Isaac. But he's probably going to be more prominent in the next season
Yeah.
for Abby. But what he was doing in the season was pretty good. I like the addition. I did like some of the overall increasement of the world building because I love Joel's like learning about his father. That was an amazing part of the last episode, and that was a really good part. Just like someone learning about like how Isaac joined the
Yeah. I like the intro
WL.
with the whole him meeting up with the WLF
Yeah.
and then like blowing up the
Yeah.
car Fredra soldiers and then like having
And
the
turns out you can actually find that car in the game, which is a cool
Yeah.
detail. Like the car with like the
Yeah.
6
is
dead
that not
soldiers in the back.
not the car that that Ellie tried to open and accidentally dropped the door on?
Yeah, I think
I think
so.
that's supposed to be the same car.
Mm.
That's what I
Um,
read it as, at least. That's what I saw it as.
yeah, no, I think it was the same car.
Wasn't it like a tank?
No, it was just an armored van.
Mm.
But and so we have that. And overall, I would say it was a solid season, but I think it definitely lacked in some points where it felt
Yeah,
a bit
I think season
painless.
1 is still better than season 2 at this
Because
point.
what's amazing about season 1 is such a compact and tight story.
Yeah,
all
because I
in
feel like that's
itself.
also why people love the first game so much. Because also the first game is such a nice story that's so well put together.
And
and
this,
so
it's like
neat,
we have
yeah.
It's basically like part 1 of a 3-part season. Season
Yeah.
2.
At this point, 3 parts basically, because they're splitting it up so much.
And that's kind of like, I feel like that's a bit much. I personally don't think how they can do a season 4 is they're gonna have to really increase
Yeah,
some of the story.
I agree. Feel like they're probably just going. I don't know if they do 4 seasons, because I just like I feel like at this point most of the content can be done in just one more season.
Yeah.
But maybe they can
Especially if they
increase
make it an
to
actually like 10-episode season instead
Yeah.
of like the weird 7 episode.
Yeah, I don't know why they're like, why are we doing like 7? It's such a weird number. Odd
Yeah.
prime, like there's no reason to 7.
Well, last season was 9, and that was odd.
Yeah, but at least 9 is like 3 sets of 3.
Yeah.
Like it's not a prime number.
Beck, what were your thoughts on this season?
I thought it was good. Definitely Ellie's arc was rushed a little bit. I felt like the Dina and Ellie scene that we had in this episode felt like a lot worse than the one in the game where she's like cleaning the back. There was also just a lot of parts where I feel like they messed up the lighting a bit. I noticed this especially with like Joel's death scene, where I feel like sometimes they just like did not have as good cinematography as the game had.
That's fair. I would say there's definitely some things that were lost in adaptation that I think we're trying to make a very specific choice, but I don't think it quite landed as much. Nicola, you have any overall thoughts about this season?
I think, I think you basically said it. It was a pretty good season, but not as good as season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, and so but I would say it's like one of those things where it's like, it's an okay season of Last of Us, but it's like a better season of TV, than
Yeah.
most content out there.
Yeah.
And so we have that. I think that's all we have to say on The Last of Us. I'm still excited for season 3,
I am definitely excited for season.
I'm still
3.
excited.
Definitely. Yeah, it's not like I'm gonna stop watching the show.
Yeah, I mean, Abby seems like a pretty fun character to follow, and it would be a nice break to get from Ellie, because I feel like we got so much Ellie this season.
Yeah, because I
Just
feel like in the
hyper-
game, I can't remember, Beck. You have to remind me. In the game, do we alternate between
No.
Abby
It's
like
a lot
blocks.
more, or it is blocks? Okay.
it's not even blocked. It's literally we do the entire Ellie part, then we do the entire Abby part.
Okay, it is like that. Okay. Because I can't remember if there was like some part that had alternated.
Was it like
or not.
multiple blocks of that, or just
No,
2
it's
blocks?
literally it goes to the theater gunshot and then just immediately Abby's 3 days.
Okay. Just want to call out they did do a Soundgarden song at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
so
that kind of
that's-
threw me off though, because the song was so different to like I feel like the theme of the ending. Like she
Yeah.
goes off to the ending, and then all of a sudden it hit me with the Soundgarden song. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this
Yeah.
song voice? Felt like a JoJo outro.
So that's that. I want to talk. Aiden seems like he's very stonewalled right now. So I
Do you
want to
guys
talk.
Rick and Morty?
No, not
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
Not
That's
yet.
for later.
I want to say this,
Oh.
Aiden. So I
Yeah.
just watched a movie before this, and it did something in the last third that I didn't quite like, and I thought it was very stupid. I didn't even log in Letterboxd yet. But
No, I see that.
I was checking Letterboxd right now.
Aiden,
So
I
was I.
watched Bridge to Terabithia.
Have you? I've read the book. I haven't seen the movie.
So I watched the movie, and I'm shocked that they just kill her.
Kill her.
They just guys. So
She just
Bri-
dies.
She
Imagine reading that book in 4th grade.
The main character just fucking dies.
no. So
Yes.
well,
She
she's one of the main
dies.
characters.
Yeah.
So guys, Josh Hutcherson as a child, he has like a family, and it's Josh Hutcherson, yeah. And so he's a kid, and like he has a family, and like his parent, he's like he likes to draw art, and like he's kind of annoying, but like
Zoe Deschanel is in this movie.
yeah, and oh my god, she is kind of like, when you think about it, it's kind of creepy what she does. When I'll bring it up. So he's like, he goes to like school, and like he's getting picked on, and then this new girl moves in, and she lives across from him, and then they start to becoming friends, and then they do magical, like they go like do adventures in the woods, and like this is our kingdom of like Terabithia, very like kind of child.
They cross a bridge. There's a bridge in the forest across a little river.
They cross with a
and
rope,
they cross the bridge. They cross the bridge. No, it's a bridge, isn't it? That's
Well,
why it's
yeah,
called
but
Bridge to
they
Terabithia.
yeah, but that's at the end when he builds
Oh,
the bridge.
Right.
They cross, because this actually dies.
Oh yeah.
They run across with a rope and like to another side, and then like it's kind of like, do they have schizophrenia because they're imagining all these like animals, but no, they just have imaginations, and this is a Disney movie, by the way. And so they do that, and like they're becoming really good friends, and he has a crush on the teacher. And then, like, it's kind of a heartwarming thing, but it's very creepy when you think about this. Like,
Yeah, I was
you know,
about to say that sounds
the teacher,
interesting.
the teacher's like, she calls him, and she says, "Hey, my nephew is not available. Do you want to go to a museum with me?" Just them
Yeah,
two.
what? Sorry, that's a very strange thing.
She's
I
just
gotta-
trying to be friendly, guys.
And
That
so
sounds
they-
Don't stand too
sounds
close
kind
to
of-
her.
Yeah.
and it's Zoe Deschanel, so it's fine,
Mhm.
And so he like tells his mom, but his mom's like kind of sleeping, but he takes that as a yes. So he goes with her, and then when he comes back, they're like, "Where were you?" And they're like, "Your friend Leslie, the other main character in the movie, she's dead. She just died." And this is like the last 30
Oh.
minutes of the movie. She hit her head, and she like died while swimming across.
She drowns.
She drowns.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's just such a change in the movie, because it's like so random to pull this shit in like the last like third of the movie.
In the book, they go to church beforehand and learn about heaven and hell, and then the main guy asks about whether she went to hell or not.
He brings that up at the end, like, is she going to hell?
Yeah.
As he's crying to his dad. And it's just so crazy.
And the
that,
dad says yes, she is, son.
No, he says no. But
It's a crazy movie, or a crazy book, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, and so I just want to bring that up, because I watched that, because I was like, you know what? I was watching a Josh Hutcherson interview. I was like,
And he brought it up?
Yeah. So that's that. That's what I wanted to bring up.
You rewatched Novocaine also, I see.
I rewatched Novocaine because I was like, it's ultimately, we think Novocaine's like a pretty it's like a pretty fine movie, but rewatching, I'm realizing it's like a pretty like tight fucking movie. It's like pretty
Yeah.
compact in like how it tells its
Yeah.
story. It's like it sets up pretty good arc. They bring up some characters. There's only maybe one weak point for me with like the daughter of the cop, but that's like not a
Yeah.
big deal. Like, it's a pretty tight movie. They set up something good. They set up like the character and like his stakes. Like, they set up and like complete the arc pretty fucking well. And
Yeah.
it's like a perfect family movie to watch.
It's
Yeah,
Except that it's
Very
like
good.
R-rated.
but it's like not even that bad R-rated. It's like okay
Yeah.
R-rated. It's like not
my
even that.
family would have shown it to me when I was 10.
Yeah. And like, because I watched Companion with my mom. It's like, maybe I could tell her the other Jack Quaid movie this year. And I was like, you know what? I'll rewatch Novocaine, because like it's pretty nice, kind of like heartwarming movie about like he finds like the girl, and like he gets with her at the end, and like it's pretty nice. Jack Quaid, kind of a rising movie star, doing 2 movies this year, and that's pretty fun. And it's just a nice little movie because it's pretty compact in how it tells its story, and I can really respect that. I like movies that it didn't go for too much. It tells you what it's going to like be in like the first 10 minutes, and you kind of expect what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's places for movie like that. Definitely not like Hurry Up Tomorrow. Let's talk about
yeah.
Rick and Morty.
Morty.
So,
Or you did end up watching it?
I watched the season 8 premiere, and I would say it's a pretty good. I would say a pretty solid premiere. So Aiden,
sure.
explain the concept of this
So,
episode.
well, we start with a cold open where Summer is like the president of like CEO of some tech company, and she's getting rid of phone chargers, and she like goes out to the woods where Morty is living, and he's living in a shack, and Summer's like, it's time to go home. Morty's like, no, and then they go home and they wake up and they were matrixed for 30 for like 17 in Matrix universe times for like 30 minutes because Rick fell asleep, and now have age 17. Like Summer is now 40 in her mind or whatever. She has like the mind of a 40-year-old, and Morty has the mind of like a 30-year-old or whatever.
Mhm.
And now they're living. And now the episode is like them dealing with that
Explain
concept.
what the Matrix was made
The Matrix
for.
was because they took Rick's phone charger without returning it, and
Oh
so
my god.
Rick put him in the Matrix for that.
It's like,
Very
but
funny.
Fucking
and the rules of this universe is that it's like a crime to steal phone chargers or something.
Like it's basically
That's-
murder.
that's just Rick. That's so
It's
fucking.
it's so funny, and it's all charger themed. Like there's like an Osama bin charger, which is very important because so while Summer, the episode we have a Summer and Beth B story and then a Morty A story. So Summer and Beth's story is like they're bonding because now they're both middle-aged white women and they're bonding, and then Beth is like, oh wait, my daughter's an asshole now. And then Morty's whole thing is he went to war while he was in there and has PTSD, and all of his friends are dead.
So every time he sees a phone charger, he gets PTSD now.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, but we see the flashbacks of his PTSD and him fighting in like the phone charger war or whatever. But it has good like PTSD representation, I guess. I don't know
Yeah.
how they handle it is very funny.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
funny.
very good.
The concept was really great because then Morty puts Rick into a matrix about putting people into matrices, and that's pretty funny. And it just it's a really
he says
really
wubble
fun
of a dub dub while he's in there.
yeah, and it's a really fun concept. And it's just like it's a really good it's a good starter to the season. It felt like really fresh. The jokes were funny, like pretty solid. I mean, with Rick and Morty, it's kind of hard to tell at this stage in the game, but as long as they just kind of put up solid episodes, because ultimately it works. Yeah.
I don't know. I thought this episode was really funny. I think the voice actors are still very good.
Yeah.
There were definitely some lines that I felt like were ad-libbed. Like Rick has a line about like the tank that they built purring like a bunch of cats. It's like that felt like an ad-lib line, and it wasn't that good. But like I can see that they're getting into the group.
Yeah.
Because this is their first season of them actually being able to do it.
And what's good about these new actors, they do definitely give Rick and Morty some new life that I think became stale with Justin Roiland after
Rick definitely feels so much more lively with this new voice actor.
Yeah.
He's a much nicer character to listen to. Morty feels about the same, which is good. I think.
Yeah. Because ultimately, Rick and Morty has kind of lost, I think, the cultural relevancy it once had, like
definitely
4 years ago.
I haven't even kept up with the show in like 4 years.
But as long as they kind of just like continue to put out like consistently good content for the Rick and Morty fan base who still watch a season 8 and who still people who still watch Adult Swim and stuff like that, I think it can still provide to be a pretty good show and like outlet for like Dan Harmon to do the creative ideas because he's
Yeah.
still on the show. And ultimately, if it just
I
stays
noticed
like
that
this, it's good. Yeah.
yeah, I noticed that they put Justin Roiland's name back in the end credits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they weren't there
Interesting.
for season 7. Now they're back. Now it says created by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon at the end.
Wow.
Mhm.
That might bode for something in the future, but I do not
Yeah,
know
I
what.
don't know. I don't know. It
But
might be like a legal thing, but
might be a legal
Probably
thing.
a legal thing. That makes
I
sense
could
to be a
see
legal
maybe
thing.
it could be maybe something. I could see maybe like a couple of seasons of reconciliation, but I don't know.
maybe. But I don't think
Maybe
he's coming back to voice because I think the voice
no.
act. I like the new
I like
voice
the new
acting.
voice
They're good.
actors. I think they're good. Even though I think he
Yeah,
might have probably did some other voice actors on the show,
yeah.
Justin Roiland, but it doesn't really matter. But no, I like the new voice actors. I think they provide a good like sort of new like life to
Yeah.
the show, and I'm really enjoying it. Aiden, because I know you don't really like summer episodes, but this was a pretty good summer episode. You know.
Yeah, no, I did like. They don't really do a Beth Summer, so I was surprised that they were doing that. That was good to see.
Yeah, I think they've done maybe like one or like a couple of those, like the one where
Yeah,
enlarges her breasts and like becomes a monster outside. That's
yeah.
just yeah.
But also, those were in the bad seasons, and I don't know.
Um,
I mean, I like what they did. I did like how they did like the line deliveries of like of Summer and Morty because they are like mentally aged up, so their cadence and way of speaking is different, and I like
Yeah.
how they did that. There was definitely a stark difference between them, especially when they were reverted back at the end of the episode.
yeah.
Um, I like the adult Morty design because I know we've gotten some, but
Yeah.
they've never felt like organic ones. This one felt really organic.
I know there's a lot of different adult Morty designs. One where he even becomes like Jerry a bit. And there's like some good Morty designs. I would say this one was kind of cool. It was like kind of a camouflage, sort of like soldier
Yeah.
kind of Morty,
I
which is
really
really
liked how they did that. This episode also felt really similar to like an Inside Job like writing.
You know what it did? It did kind of feel like sort of like this weird, like
The
text.
gags and the comedy really reminded me of Inside Job.
Yeah. I
Like
wonder if
something
any.
like
Yeah.
something like the moat joke.
Yeah.
Or he's like, "Don't worry, we built a moat for this exact reason." Oh no, it has a snorkel. Like
Yeah.
that felt like a very Inside Job joke. Or like when the car gets run over and he comes out of the car all fine. He's like, "Great tank." I don't
Yeah.
know.
No. No.
Which
It
is
was
not
just
a
a.
bad thing. This is a good thing. The
Yeah.
like humor that they
Yeah.
have.
No. It's like pretty solid. I think it was just a pretty good season premiere. Better than
For
last
sure.
season's.
Better than last season. Not that I
Um.
didn't like the Mr. Poopy Butthole season, but like
It was like
still
a
good.
pretty good on the bar of Rick and Morty. I have some high hopes for
Yeah.
this season. Let me look up what's their episode titles in case we need to anything interesting. I know that we are getting a Citadel episode this season, I'm pretty sure, and that could be exciting. But ultimately, if they just continue at this sort of like pace with this kind of like style, I'm very
Yeah.
excited because it'll just be a nice kind of weekly Sunday kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Next
Uh,
next episode seems to be about Space Beth, which is good because we haven't seen her for a little bit.
yeah. No, pretty exciting. Some interesting titles. While shocking this episode, we didn't get any Jerry in this episode, which was interesting.
Yeah, we did not get any Jerry.
Which is fine. He's probably gonna have some episodes later in the season. But yeah, no, pretty solid, and I'm excited for this season. So we'll keep recapping every episode. Nicola, do you have any? Have you seen
I have
more
one
House?
solo.
Yeah,
that
Nicola
would be-
has
I have
Have you
one
seen more
solo also.
Nicola, have you seen more House?
I have not watched more
House
House.
MD.
I was watching something more important known as The Princess Bride. Because I remember, I
yes.
think we talked about it. I think I did mention somebody briefly, and then that just inspired me to watch it. So then I watched it. He's gonna pull out the book, isn't he? Yeah. So
yeah.
overall, it was a very good movie. It was very funny where it needed to be. The action was really good when it needed to be. The story was engaging. I think it was perfect for a 1987 movie. and it still, I think, even holds up today. So
I think it's a
that's really all I
great
need
book.
to say today. That's all I really have to say about it.
I think it's a great movie. I think it's so very good.
I also think it's so very good.
I think Nicola, you should read the book.
Isn't the book just the same story though?
It has so much more because in the book there's like I'd say like a third of the book covers Fennec and Inigo Montoya's backstory. Where we actually have like him as like a wrestler or like a giant, and we have more on Inigo Montoya's father and stuff. It's really interesting. It's
Yeah.
like the Six-Fingered Man hires his father to like make a sword for him, and then he slays him with the same sword.
Which is what we heard in the movie.
Yeah, but that's like built upon greatly.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a lot of that, but it is very faithful.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie, and let's leave it at that. Other than that,
My
that
turn.
was my only solo. So yeah, now it's Beck's turn.
I will talk about a bad movie. I did not like 28 Days Later.
You didn't like 28 Days Later?
I
It's not a movie. I haven't seen it, but
it just kind of felt like a zombie movie, and then it turned into Die Hard for like the last 20 minutes.
I love Die Hard.
that sounds awesome.
And I didn't. Okay, so there's this guy, and he wakes up in from a coma in a zombie apocalypse. I've never
Like
heard
The
of this
Walking
before.
Dead?
This is crazy. This is crazy.
I think
So
this
that
came out before The
happens,
Walking
and
Dead,
then
though.
guys, he finds this girl. Oh my god, a woman in the
Never heard
zombie
of that before.
apocalypse.
No.
And then they meet this family, but oh my god, guys, the dad dies. He gets turned into a zombie.
No.
And there's this child actor in it who is the most robotic child actor I've ever like seen.
Like, are you making
like
fun
her
of a
dad is
child
like,
actor?
Yeah,
I
gotta
am
say,
making
Beck,
fun
not
of a
your
child
highest
actor.
moment to be making fun of child
Hey,
actors.
don't worry. We're gonna be making fun of child actors
Okay,
a little
that
bit
is-
more.
that is true. That is true.
I'm just getting us ready for that, you know?
Yeah, he's
But she's like,
preparing the
You know what
audience.
the
Oh
Celsius
no,
Pod
my
is?
dad
The
is
number one
dead. This is so
child-hating
sad.
podcast in the world.
You're already so right.
Yeah. It's like she's on weed the entire time. Like she just does not care about anything that's happening. But then, guys, the military shows up. We get 8 guys in a mansion together, and they're like, "Wow, we're surviving, but we need women." So they kidnap the 2 women, and they have Killian Murphy. They kick Killian Murphy out, but Killian Murphy comes back and diehards them, and then saves the girl. And I think they get rescued because turns out it was only Britain that was infected. Everywhere else was completely fine.
Makes sense. So Britain was just Britain as usual.
Yeah, they would just fucking ditch Britain. I think we should do that in real life too. Just fucking kill all
Beck,
of them.
you have to wait for them 28 weeks late. You have to watch 28 weeks later. So
I
sequel
do
then.
have to.
In preparation for the movie that we're gonna watch.
I don't want to. I don't even know why it has 2 sequels. It's not that good of a movie.
I'll
Either
watch
way,
it in prep for when we will see the new
that
one.
was my one single. Do we want to go on to the very big Universal biggest Memorial Day opening in history?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Did none of you guys got that transition? You guys all
Why
looking
didn't
like
What
what
was
is he
the
talking about?
transition?
to Lilo and oh my god, it was the
Lilo
biggest
I
like
got this
Memorial Day
transition,
I just didn't
opening in
want to say
history.
anything.
Wait, are we already on Lilo and Stitch?
This is it.
No.
We don't
Yeah.
very much this week. This is a very short episode.
Wow. Because okay, do you guys not watch My Little Pony?
I mean,
I
we're not.
did.
Yeah, but like we're not talking about it in that
But
way.
it's
Yeah,
the
we
they, had
summer
like they had
arc,
a
Aiden.
very big musical
true.
episode.
But I'm also not in summer yet.
That's cope. That's
I'm also
cope.
technically not in
Um,
summer yet. That's true too.
I will just say there was one like really big musical episode with like a 5-minute musical sequence, so that was good. And I'm on episode like 15, I think.
Beck, are you enjoying My Little Pony?
Parts of it. Definitely. I cannot believe there's 26 this season. I'm not even halfway through, bro.
Speaking of parts, Beck, you finished part 5. How was that
I
of
did
JoJo?
finish JoJo Part 5 by far. I'd say definitely the weakest part besides 1.
That's
really-
crazy.
That
I
is
did
kind of
not.
crazy to say.
I kind of did not fuck with Part 5 as much as the other parts.
I
I
mean,
guess you
that's
gotta watch
fair.
it a third time then.
I didn't watch it a second time.
Yeah, but I did, so that means you have to watch it
Oh.
a third time.
That's how it
Yeah,
works.
that's not happening. I'm skipping Part 5 next time.
Okay, that's
Uh,
crazy.
Beck,
But
if you
yeah.
ever want to consume JoJo again, I'd recommend reading instead.
That's true.
Well, Part
Guys,
6
Beck
is
doesn't-
good so far.
Guys,
Yeah.
Beck doesn't know how to read.
I don't know how to read.
He's gonna look at it and he's gonna be like, "But it's backwards. It's
Ah!
backwards."
Beck, do you know what? Do you even know what this says? Can you read it?
The Hunger Games, bro. That's
That
easy.
It doesn't say that.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So Beck can't read with a savage child, but Aiden. So guys, Beck,
Aiden, talk about
Nicola-
almost killing us on the freeway.
Yeah,
Beck,
so
Nicola, we're not gonna talk for the next like 20 minutes. So Aiden, just pop off.
That's fine.
So-
Sure.
Yeah.
the new live action Disney remake has come out in a very short amount of time after the Snow White one, and this one is much worse. Because where the Snow White one takes it already not very good and just makes it differently bad, this one takes an amazing movie and changes it to where it forgot what the movie was about in the first place. So Lilo and Stitch, classic movie. You got all the fan favorite characters like the neighbor and not Bubbles, and evil Jumba. You know, all the ones
Yeah,
that
yeah.
everyone loves.
Love all
Um,
those guys.
So there's a lot of changes in the live action that baffle me. Just baffle me. So
They basically changed the message of the entire movie.
they changed the
That was
message
the
of the
biggest
entire
change,
movie.
I think you could say.
It's no longer Ohana means family. Ohana doesn't mean jack shit.
Awana
um,
means sending your sister to Child Protective Services that you can go to college.
Yes. So so instead of, Stitch and Nani and Lilo and David and Pleakley and Jumba all being a big happy family together, that doesn't happen. Nani goes to college and Lilo lives with the neighbor character that they invent for the movie, which also ruins Nani's character because her character is like, she has to be the adult. She has no one to rely on. And then they give her someone to rely on.
Yeah.
So it's like, huh? Huh? One big change that's very baffling is that Gontu is not in the movie, the main villain. So then they run into the dilemma.
No,
of,
you mean Jumba. He's in it.
no,
He's
Jumba's
the villain.
You mean Coco
Jumba's
Jumbo?
not the main villain. Jumba is an antagonist turned good, not the main villain. The main villain is gone. Also, so he's not in the movie, and then they make Jumba the main villain, who's also not Russian anymore. His human disguise is not poorly dressed up alien. He's just straight up evil. His plan is to make Stitch into the weapon that he is, rather
More
than just trying to
evil.
capture him. No, more specifically, he wants to turn him into Leroy from the third movie. So I don't know why that was a decision that
Because they're
was
setting
made.
up the third movie where he then does make Leroy.
I hope not, because that's stupid. So that's all terrible. Bubbles is no longer a real CPS agent. Now there's a separate character. And then he's already an FBI agent, and then and then after like halfway through the movie, then pretends to be a CPS agent, and they're both there. So it's like, why did you split this into two characters? That doesn't make sense. Also, he's just not the same character. Like, he doesn't have like the aura that he usually has. He's more of a comic relief character. But there's too many comic relief characters in this movie. Every character is comic relief, and there's also way too many characters. They remove a character from the movie and add like 3 more, and then makes it way too bloated because no one gets like any time to shine. I do not know who the live action remake is supposed to be about, because there is not enough Stitch, there's not enough Lilo, there's not enough Nani to like have any real growth with any of these characters or any real relationships. I don't know.
It just felt
There's
it very felt like it very felt aimless, the movie, and like they didn't
Yes.
really know what they wanted to do with the story. It was very poorly adapted. I don't remember seeing Lilo and Stitch for like a while back. I can already tell just watching it as a movie on its own. It's very poorly like just made. Like the characters just feel like kind of like random. It just feels like occurrences just happen. No like real growth feels like progresses through the movie. No momentum. I felt like there's no energy in the movie.
There's a lot of exact same lines. Like some like for every change that they do to the movie, there is line for line writing in this movie. Like there's so much of it. There's so much that I noticed. I was like, that is a direct copy and paste from the script. Just way worse line delivery. Like one example that I can think of is at the pound, and the pound lady is like, I think it's a dog, or at least I think it is. She says it like her character in the movie is for some reason like a millennial teen who's like really annoyed at being at her job, when in the original movie Stitch is like super fucking frantic and she's like pulling on him and she's like really frantic and scared, and like that line delivery is bad. Every line that Lilo delivers is bad. That child actor was not very good. There were so many times I was like, you didn't get a better take than that.
That is very
Sorry to the person to the girl that plays Lilo.
no hate on you, but you did not.
You did not do a good job. Stitch is fine. Stitch was okay in this movie, minus the fact that they forgot his character arc. He's fun to watch because it's Stitch. Like that's intrinsically gonna be it.
He didn't get to say in the movie Ohana means family.
Yeah, they kind of like
Because
They kinda
Ohana
have
doesn't
to-
mean family. It means going to college and sending your
they
sister
kind
to
of
college.
butcher the entire thing. Uri, in the original movie, there's a scene kind of halfway through the movie. It's like it's the first night that Stitch is with Lilo. And he built, because he's lost because there's no big cities or whatever. So he builds like a New York thing, and he pretends to be Godzilla and he destroys it. But then he destroys it and he's like, okay, now what? And then Lilo puts the lay on him, and then and then he finds the Ugly Duckling book, and he's looking through and he's like, what is this? And Lilo's like, look, he has no family. He's like all alone and he has no family, but then his family comes back to him. And Stitch's whole thing is like, he has no purpose and he's learning about this family thing. So he takes the book with him into the middle of the forest and just waits in the middle of the forest, hoping that a family will come to him. And it's a very like important character moment. There's a lot of like Stitch character moments that are just not in the movie that like establish him turning to be good. Because there's not really any of that in
He
the
just kind of
remake.
decides to be good.
He just kind of switches right at the end. When Lilo is taken, he switches right at the end to be good.
Because he loves Lilo for no reason.
Because there's this slow buildup in the movie of him learning to trust people. Like there's two scenes that really stood out to me on like how even like the subtle character interactions fundamentally change like the growth of them. The one scene is during Hawaiian roller coaster ride. That whole montage in the original movie, when Stitch is on the surfboard with Lilo and Nani, he's freaking out because he doesn't like water. So he grabs onto someone. In the live action, he holds onto Lilo. But in the animated one, he's holding on to Nani, which both establishes his trust for Nani, and then Nani realizing, hey, this fucking monstrosity has a soft spot and is like can be scared and like he has emotions.
Yeah.
And so it like there's a little bit of character interaction and character development just because of that like one interaction.
Because of the blocking, you know.
Just the blocking and like the idea of like Stitch is trusting his life with Nani. There's some like important character things there. Another scene is when the like main alien woman comes down and she's like, and he's like, experiment 626 must he's gonna be killed. And he's like, Stitch, my name is Stitch. And she's like, okay, Stitch will be, and he's like, can I say bye to my family? In the movie, when he says that, she says, yes, whatever, go do it. But in the animated movie, she like hesitates. She like realizes what he says because this is like her character shifting to being like realizing, wait, this guy is good. He has the ability to be good. Because before, her whole thing is like, he's evil. He's gonna kill. He's a weapon of mass destruction. But him being like, can I say bye? Like humanizes him in the audience eyes and in her eyes. And it's like, even like just the fact that she hesitates and like understands what he's saying and not being there, even just for that little subtle thing. I don't know. And there's
Changes
just
the
a
whole
lot of
thing, you know. Yeah.
changes the whole thing. And there's a lot of other stuff that's just like absent from the movie. Like there's like Elvis is so little involved in this movie. Like
It's like
obviously
one record, and that's like not focused on.
they're like they play the music, obviously. Like they have the music in the movie. But like the montage of Lilo training Stitch to be Elvis or be like Elvis, that's just completely shifted to him like being polite. And it's like
Yeah.
I don't know why you changed that because that is such a famous scene and such like an iconic part of like Lilo's character, like Elvis being a role model for her. That's just not in the movie. And they talk about the dead parents so much. They are mentioned twice, maybe, in the original movie. And they're mentioned so much. And it's like, they do not matter. The idea of them matters, but like the fact that they don't like and the whole ending with like Stitch almost drowning at the end and Nani saving him is like, oh, why did you add that? That literally adds nothing except for 20 minutes of more movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of redeeming qualities to this movie. There's sexual tension between the agent and the alien lady. That's pretty funny. I mean, I'm making a joke, but there's this weird moment where the alien
They
lady
shake hands though, like, hey.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about the alien lady and her arc and how that changes.
Her arc is pretty similar. She's not in the movie very
But I
much.
mean, like
she's
the
not
moment at
very
the
much.
end where
The
she
ending
changes
scene.
the end with her. And she
Yeah,
really,
I just did, didn't I?
Oh no, you didn't mention that.
Yeah, where he says like,
Yeah,
let me say goodbye.
yeah.
Like that whole scene. I already talked about that. Another thing is what was I gonna say? I forgot. Pleakley. Pleakley's character is randomly like, because he's like a very timid kind of like, don't do that. But he's like really excited about everything now. And it's like, that's not his character at all. None of the characters act like they should. It's very, and also whoever did the costume design for this movie, dude, do your fucking research. People are wearing California brand surfwear in the movie.
Imagine
They
them.
live in Hawaii, bro. Why are you wearing an O'Neill surf shirt?
Nah. I
No.
think they're in California.
Very close to California, Hawaii, you know.
Yeah. Very,
Like,
very close.
I like that. Like legitimately, I don't know why they did that. Like Nani for the entire final 30 minutes of the movie is wearing a Prince shirt from Target. Oh my!
Oh, Target.
I don't know. Like I don't think any of the characters wear any outfits that they wear in the original movie. Like
Yeah.
Lilo has a very iconic like red floral dress that she just doesn't wear in the movie.
Yeah. No, it's just like this movie just doesn't feel like it has any of the energy from the
No.
original, which I think if you're going to do a live action, it balances between okay, what's the point of seeing this if we've already seen the story before? So let's redo it or redo the same
Yeah.
thing. And neither one is a good option, but in order to get a good live action remake, you need to have the same energy. Something like, The Last of Us has the same energy as the games, where Lilo and Stitch adapting from the animation doesn't have the same energy. It doesn't feel fun. It doesn't feel like good characters. It doesn't feel like the same continuation of the story, which makes sense. It was not written by the same person. It probably should
No.
have been, but yeah.
Just like it's so flat, and it's also really, really fast paced. Like it was edited so fast.
Yeah. Where
Like the
I
beginning.
would assume the animation takes more time with the characters a bit, even though it's lesser.
Yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot
I saw
slower.
this.
There's a
Somebody
lot
said
slower scenes.
online that the first act felt like it was edited using like the TikTok editing software because of how fast it was.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah. Anything else, Aiden?
I did not like this movie. It made me very mad. I'm gonna rewatch the original movie again this week and probably talk about the live action remake next week again when I like think about it more.
And it was like in the car, he was swerving.
I was mad.
Yeah, we could have died. Well, Beck, you look really lethargic and depressed, so I don't want the YouTube commenters to say that. So you recommend something.
I recommend the original Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
Yeah. And I recommend
Yeah.
Aiden finally watches Mulan because it's crazy that he hasn't.
We're doing the
The
4
live-
day.
Yeah.
We got to do the 4 movies.
The
Yeah.
four
We're
Disney
gonna do
movies.
The
live
four
action.
Disney.
We're gonna watch
Can we
live
do that?
action.
Can we scheduling for the Patreon? Can we do that? Can we figure this time out? Can we do it tomorrow?
You cannot do
what
it
time is it
tomorrow.
Oh, wait, we can't do it tomorrow. Can we do it sometime this week?
I can do it like Wednesday, I think.
I could also do Wednesday depending on the time. I just have to be after school.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they're not very long movies. They're all like hour and a half.
Yeah, I could do that.
Hell yeah.
Always use Celsius. Thanks for listening.